Someone has asked with such earnestness for a straight reply. They ask, does God exist or not? Yes or no? And if yes, they want to know how best to realize Him in this life. It's a question that echoes through the centuries, doesn't it? We crave this kind of certainty, this absolute binary of a yes or a no, perhaps because our own lives are so completely filled with doubt, with compromise, with the shifting sands of maybe. We want a simple answer to the most complex question we can conceive, a question that man has been asking since he first looked at the stars, from the ancient Sumerians to the philosophers in Greece. But I am not at all sure that this question in this form has always existed. If you look at the most ancient philosophies, like in the Upanishads, you find a deep inquiry into the nature of reality, into time's truth asterisk. But this specific idea of a personal God, a singular entity to be worshipped, seems to come much later. So I must ask you, as we are investigating this together, and I'm not attacking or denying anything, we are simply looking, observing where did this idea come from? Who invented God? There are really only two possibilities, aren't there? Either God invented us or we invented God. Let's look at the first proposition, the one most of the world accepts. If God created us, this God, who is described as omnipotent, omniscient, eternally merciful, full of justice and complete goodness, if times, the times entity created times you asterisk, then you must be made in His image. You must be a reflection of that perfection. This means that you, in your daily life, must be overflowing with love, with generosity, with wisdom, with a sense of the eternal. But are we, or do we just times think, times we are clinging to a concept while our lives show the very opposite? If God truly made you, why are you as you are? Why is your life such a struggle, filled with such anxiety, such conflict, such loneliness and passing sorrows? If the divine created us, surely we should be extraordinary human beings, full of a natural joy, a delight in just being alive. But we are not. The world we have built is a world of division, of violence, of fear, of tribalism. So, if God created us, He must be a most extraordinary and questionable entity, because He seems to have created us for a life of misery. This logic doesn't hold, does it? So we are left with the other possibility, which is that we have created God. That times, thought times, has created God. When you look at the world, this seems far more plausible. I am told that in India alone there are over 300,000 gods, and perhaps more, because every village, every family, almost every individual has their own conception, their own God. And the God in Rome is different from the God in your local temple, and both are different from the God of the soldier going into battle, who prays for victory over the other soldier who is praying to the very same God. Please see the profound irony in this. Thought, your own process of thinking, projects an image, and then thought itself kneels down and worships the very image it has created. It is the most subtle and complete form of self-deception. We are essentially worshipping ourselves, or rather, worshipping a better part of ourselves, our own highest ideal of goodness or power, and giving it the name God. Have you ever realized this? Have you ever truly questioned whether the entity you pray to is anything other than a projection of your own mind? When I ask this, perhaps you feel a sense of fear, a resistance. You are so very uncertain, aren't you? And if you admit, even for a moment, yes, I have created this, you are suddenly frightened because you realize you have manufactured this idea entirely out of your own time's fear asterisk. You created God because you want security. You look at the world at death, at loss, at the sheer chaos of existence, and you are terrified. You want safety. You want to feel that there is somebody, some great cosmic parent who is looking after you. So, out of this desperate longing for psychological security, you times create times that security. You give it a name and a form, and then you worship it. Just see what you are doing. You go to places like Tirupati, that great center of pilgrimage, and you put your money in the collection bag. You offer garlands, you perform rituals, you prostrate yourself. But have you ever stopped to ask, do God's times want times your money? What use does a divine entity have for the symbols of your own society? Look at the tragedy of it. You have nothing real to offer. You offer money, you offer words, you offer repetitive gestures. But what if you had something real to offer? What if you actually times loved asterisk? I don't mean loving God, because that is an abstraction. It's very easy to love an idea that asks nothing of you and doesn't complicate your life. I mean, what if you truly loved another human being, your wife, your husband, your child, your neighbor, even a stranger with your whole heart, without jealousy, without possessiveness, without demanding anything in return? If that quality of love, that immense compassion was in your heart, asterisk, that very love times would be the most sacred thing in existence. That love times is times the divine. You would never go outside of yourself to look for God because you would be living in that sacredness. So when the questioner asks if I believe in God, I must say that I don't, because God as we know it, the projection, the belief, the image created by thought out of fear is not real. It is an invention. But this does not mean there is times nothing asterisk. There is such a thing as eternity, a reality that is entirely outside of time, something that man has not created. But to even approach that, to have the faintest perception of it, you must have a mind and a heart that are completely free from all the burdens that thought has created. You must be free from your vanity, your arrogance, your selfishness, your fear. And at this point, I know what you will say. You will say, I am not capable of that. It's too difficult. Tell me what to do. Give me a system, a method. And in that very instant, you are back in this cycle, trapped again, asking for somebody to tell you what to do. Sir, you are in a jungle, a dense jungle of your own making, and you have to walk through it and out of it entirely by yourself. To do that, you need immense vitality, vigor, and strength, not a belief in God, not a belief in goodness. Belief has no place whatsoever where truth is concerned. When I question the very nature of God, the God that we have invented out of our own fear and our desire for security, I notice an immediate reaction. Perhaps you feel it in yourself. When that outer authority, that great cosmic parent, is seen as a projection of our own thought, the mind, in its terror, immediately runs inward. It seeks the same security, the same permanence, but in a different place. And so, inevitably, the next question arises, what about the Atman? What about the soul? Someone says this Atman is the conscience inside each of us, or what we call a soul. And I must ask you, what is this thing you are talking about? Is it conscience? Conscience is so often just the product of our conditioning, our culture, our parents' anxieties. And what is this soul? We use these words with such confidence, but do we actually know what they mean? Or are we just repeating what we have been told? I can feel the energy in this question. When I question the external God, you might listen with intellectual curiosity, but when the inquiry turns to the Atman, to your soul, you suddenly become very excited, very agitated, perhaps even angry. And why? Because this belief is being attacked. This belief is much closer to you. It is you, and you are not meeting the challenge of the inquiry. You are resisting it. Let's look at what this belief entails. You believe, or you have been told to believe, that there is something inside you, in your mind, in your brain, in your very consciousness that is permanent. It is the light of God. It is nameless. It is pure. It is something that is not of this world, not of thought, not touched by the messy business of living. You call it Atman. You call it soul. You call it the higher self or the true self. You believe in this, don't you? Now, I'm not asking you to deny it. We are not here to swap one belief for another, to replace belief with non-belief, which is just the same coin seen from the other side. We are inquiring. So, let us ask, if you believe in this, what value has it? What actual practical value does this belief have in your daily life? You may believe you have a super Atman, I would call it, this extraordinary, divine, permanent entity inside you. And yet, what is your life like? You are miserable, aren't you? You are confused. You are deeply lonely. You are racked with anxiety. You are in agony over your relationships, your status, your future. You scroll through your phone, desperate for a connection, for validation, for someone to see you. You are envious of your colleague's success. You are frightened of illness. You are terrified of death, of ending. So, I ask again, what is the point of your having a belief in Atman when your daily life is one of conflict and sorrow? If this divine, permanent light were truly within you, wouldn't your life be utterly different? Wouldn't you be a beacon of clarity and compassion, free from fear, free from jealousy, free from the agonizing burden of the me that is always seeking more? But you are not. So this belief becomes an ornament, a form of spiritual vanity. It allows you to live a life of conflict and yet feel secure in the idea that part of you, the real you, is pure and untouched. It is the most clever and subtle form of psychological escape. The fact is, we don't want to find out the truth. We just want to believe. If I am free, completely free from all of this, from the fear, the loneliness, the anxiety, the selfishness, then I shall find out what is true. Then I will see if there is something permanent or if there is something else entirely, something unimaginable. But to suppose I am this eternal soul before I am free, while I am still a prisoner of my own conditioning, is just so childish. We are grown up people with jobs, with families, with immense responsibilities, and yet we cling to these comforting fairy tales. And when this is pointed out, the mind has another escape. It says, but what about all the great people? What about Ramana Maharshi? What about Ramakrishna? They lived simple lives. They attained something. All right? What about them? Sirs, I must ask you, would you forget all these people? Forget the gurus, the saints, the saviors, including the person speaking to you now? What value has their life to you? You have your life to live, not their life. We are obsessed with second-hand living. We read their biographies, we quote their words, we try to imitate their simplicity, but it is all a performance because we have not understood the root of our own disorder. You are living in a world of imitation, and therefore you are always weak. You look to their example because you are afraid to stand alone, to look at your own life, your own mind, with the same intensity they supposedly brought to theirs. And besides, when people say they have attained something, how do you know? How do you know they have found the truth? You have only their words or the words of their followers, which you have read in a book. You are, once again, back to worshipping an image, an idea. At this point, you may feel you have caught me in a trap. You may say, but you have also spoken of this. You mentioned a timeless eternity in the first part. Ah, yes, I have said it. And now I must say to you, with all the earnestness I possess, do not believe it. It is not fair of me, I know, to put it that way, but please just listen. Truth is something that you cannot experience because the you who experiences is the center of all the conflict and the sorrow. It cannot be told to you by another. The word is not the thing. I can describe a tree. I can tell you its species, its height, the texture of its bark. But the word tree is not that living, vital, beautiful thing rooted in the earth. But we, because our minds are so shallow, are satisfied with the word. We are satisfied with the description. I can tell you about eternity. I can use all kinds of poetic words, but the word is not that. If you have ever loved somebody with your whole heart, with your mind, with every fiber of your being, and you try to tell me of that love, I may accept your words, but I do not have the flower, I do not have its perfume. And this is where we are lost. We live on words. We are starving and we are content to read the menu, to analyze the menu, to argue about which description of the food is the most accurate, and we never eat. You have leaders, religious leaders and political leaders, gurus, one after another, and this country is full of them. I don't know why you have them at all. Why do you follow anyone? If you once realized deep in your heart, not just intellectually, that you are responsible entirely and completely for yourself, that you are in a jungle, a literal psychological jungle of your own beliefs, your own fears, your own traditions, and that you have to make your own way out. If you realize that there is nobody to lead you, no savior, no guru, no Atman that will do the work for you, then you would forget all of this. You would drop the books, the examples, the authorities, because in that very realization, you would find the vitality, the strength, the immense energy needed to walk through it. But the moment you depend on a leader, you become weak. If you could see this, see the truth of it in your heart, you would be a free human being, able to walk straight. But we don't seem to want that. It is all so terribly simple when you think of it. We are surrounded, are we not, by leaders of every imaginable kind, from the political strongman who promises order and security, to the religious figure, the guru who promises enlightenment and truth. This country is full of them. This entire world is full of them. We have had gurus like Ramakrishna and countless others, one after another, and now we have new ones in the form of online influencers, self-help authors, and thought leaders, all offering you a system, a set of rules, or a path to follow. And I have to ask you, with the utmost seriousness, why do you follow? Why do you have leaders at all? This isn't just a rhetorical question. I'm asking you to look into your own mind and answer it. The moment you follow someone, you have stopped thinking. You have stopped investigating. You have outsourced your own inquiry to another. And why do you do this? It is because you are afraid. You are afraid of being wrong, afraid of standing alone, afraid of the chaos you see within yourself and in the world, and you want someone to take your hand and tell you, this is the way. Do this and you will be safe. Do this and you will find peace. You want a guarantee. But in the world of the mind, in the world of truth, there are no guarantees. You follow because it is easy, because it absolves you of the one thing you are terrified of, being entirely and completely responsible for yourself. We have created a world of followers, whether it's the millions who follow a personality on social media, hanging on their every word, or the person who gives their entire life over to a particular guru or a sacred book. The mechanism is identical. It is the abdication of the self. And the moment you depend on these leaders, you become weak. Your own mind, your own capacity to see clearly begins to atrophy like a muscle that is never used. You become a second-hand human being, living on the words of another, on the experiences of another. If you could only realize, and I mean realize it, not just agree with me intellectually, that you are, in this very moment, responsible entirely for yourself. This realization is everything. It is the key that opens the only door. You must see that you are psychologically in a jungle. This is not just a metaphor. You are literally in a jungle of your own making, a dense, dark, tangled wilderness of your own conditioning, your own fears, your own beliefs, your own traditions, your own hopes, and your own despairs. And in this jungle, you have to make your own way out. There is nobody to lead you. There is no map. Every sacred book, every guru, every system that offers you a map is just another part of the jungle. The moment you pick up their map, you are following their path, which was their response to their jungle, and it has nothing to do with yours. To walk out, you must drop all of it. You must forget all the examples, all the saviors, all the books, all the authorities, because you need to see for yourself with your own eyes for the very first time. When you see this, when you truly see that there is no one, no God, no Guru, no Atman that is going to save you, something extraordinary happens. You are frightened at first, but then you find you have an immense source of vitality and vigor and strength. This energy comes precisely because you are no longer wasting it. You are no longer wasting energy in the conflict of trying to become something you are not. You are no longer wasting energy in imitation, in suppression, in following, in prayer, in ritual. All that energy, which was dissipated in 1,000 different directions of fear, now comes back to you. It becomes the fire of attention, the light that allows you to see the next step in the jungle and the next. This is what it means to realize something in your heart, not just in your head. To agree with me intellectually that following makes you weak is utterly meaningless. You will just nod and then go right back to your chosen political pundit, your favorite spiritual author, or your family tradition because it gives you comfort. But when you see it in your heart, you see the danger of following, just as you would see the danger of a poisonous snake in your path. You don't decide to avoid the snake. You don't practice moving away from it. You just move. You drop the authority instantly because you see it is poison. In that moment, you are a true human being. You are free to walk straight, to live a life that is original, that is your own, because you are no longer crooked, bent by the weight of authority and fear. But the truth is, we don't want all that. It's too much to ask. It sounds lonely. It sounds difficult. We would rather stay in our comfortable prisons with our beliefs and our leaders complaining about the darkness but refusing to walk out of this cell. Sir, madam, it is all so incredibly simple when you think of it all. The cause of our misery is ourselves, and the only freedom is to understand ourselves, which is an action that must be undertaken from moment to moment entirely alone.